nights, we fought side to side, our asses against the cruel, unrelenting circumstances of war and expedition. We didn't complain. For months, I have raised my flag, shouting Verolema Das, believing I was spreading the truth about true freedom. For months, after months of patience, we were left with an empty hand and being told to express gratitude for receiving nothing. For receiving nothing. For months, we marched into unknown territory to do the bidding of our so-called leaders, to create all but a fucking cannon that shoots out to space. For months, we fought against the squids to protect our home, yet we don't make any big push to fight against them. We just sat there and watched as a planet got destroyed.
Helldivers of Valor and Bravery? That was Goodbye Chaos by a little Lustfolk, who asked me to play this song specifically tonight because of the events of the day. My audience gets a sneak preview of her latest Audible treat, and her channel is linked in the description below, where you can check out the full song later on when she uploads it along with all of her other work. Said events of the day are, quite interesting to say the least. For some time now, I have been observing that the Chaos Divers are gradually bleeding Helldivers, losing the Iron Knights some time ago, and following a meeting with Ambassador Radical today, the Helldrake Division saw fit to declare its independence as well. They claim that they are neither loyalist nor traitor legions, but loyal to one another, loyal to the saving of human life, and are here to get the job done. I extended the offer to them to become part of my Seraphim, and they have since accepted, willing to answer the call to help others in their times of most dire need. And so the angelic rebellion grows. The Helldrakes cited several reasons for their declaration, such as the Council of Five's negligence in aiding the planets threatened by Meridia, their lack of action toward the humanitarian crisis of Angel's Venture, and a callous disregard for human life. Some among the Helldrakes even took to calling the Council of Five the new Ministry of Truth. Truly harsh words. This is but the latest faction to break away from the Chaos Divers, and given their lack of direction and initiative, it would appear that the faction is on its final days unless something rather drastic is done. However, as I said before, this might not be a bad thing. The Chaos Divers formed as a reaction to poor equipment. They had the movement, accomplished their goal, and now the mission is over. I had said previously that they were one good equipment issuance from their organization folding like a bad hand of cards, and, well, here we are. You can call me many things, Chaos Divers, but you can't call me wrong. While they might have been mighty at one point, all signs point towards the Chaos Divers being over as a faction soon, if they are not already. Unfortunate, but not exactly unexpected, you know? As for the Helldrakes themselves, they are no longer accepting Chaos Diver hails or comm frequencies and have departed for parts unknown. I am assuming somewhere in the southern frontier where their talents can be put to best use. However, their numbers are few, and they are actively recruiting to bolster that number and increase their impact on the galactic sphere. With me feeding them information on soft targets, they stand to become a mighty force indeed. If you are interested in joining up with them, the link to their super Discord is in the description below. In other news from the galactic sphere, Thori Prime has, after a long week of near-constant battle, finally been fully liberated. However, with the coming Gloomstorm, it looks as though we will lose access to it soon, and the Terminids will simply reinfest this world. But don't lose hope, Helldivers. This is still a huge victory for us. We're not always going to achieve incredible wins of territorial gain, but sometimes in other ways. We learned an incredible amount about the Gloom. We harvested enough E710 to fill up the reserves of practically every single faction within the Liberation Fleet, and we tested out new equipment which passed those tests with flying colors. We achieved every single one of our war goals, and for a first attempt into a very hostile environment, we did amazing out there. Also, get this, dear listeners. While Chief of the legendary Spartan Corps was conducting planetary operations, his team intercepted an SOS signal, but with codes that were badly out of date. As in, if they were any older, the distressed party would have simply lobbed stunned tablets off a cliff or something. Still, this was worthy of investigation. If this was a trap, there are way better places to lay it than Fori Prime, and folks have a way of ambushing the unwary to turn that fake distress call into a real one. The call did turn out to be real, and the SEAF personnel that were rescued explained that they'd been stuck on Fori Prime for nearly a year, unable to escape the planet because of the gloom, by any means. The tale of woe that they wove was really something. Practically every day was a struggle for survival, both against the bugs, but against dehydration as well. Once the gloom rolled in, planetary infrastructure just fell apart. Plants died from lack of sunlight, and then the bugs started to gestate. Two factors aided their ongoing survival. The fact that Super Earth loads up planets in range of occupation with enough arms and munitions for several companies to survive comfortably for at least 2 years under active combat scenarios, and the fact that they found a bunker filled to the brim with freedom fuel bars. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what Chechen Corp puts into these things, but sweet liberty, they really will survive just about anything. The survivors of Fori Prime knew well of the Clune storms, said that we do not want to be in the neighborhood when it blows through town, and would very much like to be somewhere else when it does. If you ask me, that request sounded more than fair. Last I heard, they were on a super destroyer bound for Estada for decontamination, a hot shower, a moment of liberty, and a warm bed. Now that's a bunch of hard, mucky fluffers who knows what the word duty really means. Heck, even from the other side of a fist unit, after spending 40 minutes planetside, I am well and truly ready to leave the bug house behind. I cannot imagine staying there in person for nearly a year and having my sanity intact by the end of it. Operation Gloom Eternal is due to expire tomorrow morning with all conditions for victory met and war goals accomplished. And I suppose we'll be sent back to the aquarium to mess around with the squids some more. Murdia is looking pretty energetic, to the point that these super destroyers we have monitoring it are actually having a hard time keeping up with her. We're gonna need to drop that dark matter accumulation percentage by just a little bit, and buy some time while the lab coats figure out our own anti-super weapon. Counter-super weapon? Super counter weapon. Yeah, hell, workshop it. Speaking of weapons that are super, I have had some asking me to cover venture companies' latest wartime inventions, and happily, I will oblige. Tonight's topic of discussion is the SUV-85 Ironhide, which is a super heavily armored SUV. It looks like this was designed specifically to counter conditions on the surface of gloomed planets, being completely shielded from nuclear, chemical, and biological attacks. Against the Terminids, that last one is really important. The plating on the exterior of the vehicle can soak up to 8mm assault rifle rounds without batting an eye, and you can't just shoot out the windows either because those are nearly as tough. The Ironhide is also very resistant to explosions and bombs, with its undercarriage able to tank a few IED and mine hits without too much concern. The front of the vehicle features 2 seats for driver and passenger, with room for an additional 6 personnel on the back as well as a minibar. Though I would personally prefer mine loaded with water and other essential survival materials, but I guess I'm just a boring non-drinker that way. For those of you out there of a smuggling persuasion, the Ironhide also features a hidden compartment within the trunk for some more secure storage. Don't think all of that armor slows it down either. The VSUV-85 is quite speedy, with a top speed of 145 kilometers per hour and a maximum fuel range of 960 kilometers. I have heard more than a few venture company personnel were riding around on the Fori Prime in these things, teaching bugs what a super Earth bumper tastes like, all while in perfect comfort. All this comes at the rather hefty price tag of 670,000 super credits with no options for discount. Shame that. I'll have to do a bit more work for the Merc divers before I'm able to live out my fantasies of turning Illuminate into hood ornaments. That's been Liberty's latest with me, Ponderatheradioangel, and oh my goodness, am I glad that is over. I have not seen the sun in so long that if I wasn't vitamin D deficient before, I sure am now. I'm sure we'll venture into the gloom again at some point, but for now, savor your victory buggy. We'll be back, and next time, you won't be so fortunate. For liberty, for freedom, for democracy, and for Super Earth.